Hey everyone, welcome back to Tractor Hoarders. My name's Hans. If you guys haven't tuned in before, I have a tractor collecting problem. So anyhow, today we're picking up another one. This is a John Deere. Let me show you. Here it is. This is a 1968 John Deere 500A. And this is the industrial version of the 3020 agriculture tractor. This tractor hasn't run for over 10 years. It's been parked here without moving. I was actually out here yesterday trying to get it loaded up, and my winch failed. So here we are. This is day 2. I did use a come along and moved it about 10 feet yesterday and decided I didn't want to continue with that. So I got another winch. I'm going to swap that on the trailer and we'll see if we can get this thing pulled up. I think it's going to. Bingo.
You're going up the ramp now.
Okay, well that's a good thing. You doing okay, Grant?
Maybe.
We'll see.
Well, let's take it down.
Go down a little more.
Yeah, let's get underneath the. Let's do it right there.
Okay. Yeah. Y'all good?
Yeah. Pulling the bucket up too. What we just did.
Oh yeah.
Let's clear that board out of there.
But I think the way it's tracking the rear end probably gonna be okay. I think by the time it gets up here.
Okay, to the moon.
All right.
No, he's gonna clear. Everything's gonna clear on this side.
Yeah, I feel like I might need to adjust the steering a little, because I think this wheel's wanting to keep coming this way.
If you're fine on the other side, wait until you get up on that board where it's easy.
Okay.
This rear wheel is still not clearing now. I can coming towards your way anyway.
Yeah. steer to the right at all, Grant?
I'm just trying to do.
Okay. It did change the wheel to the right, so I think that helped a lot. All right, Grant, I'm gonna go again. Does it let you steer to the left at all?
Right,
I think we at least got it on the deck. All right.
yeah, perfect. Oh, it's really easy.
All right, well, we made it out to the property. This thing's a big old tractor. When you compare it to the other tractors I have, this thing is much bigger. It's just a lot beefier. And the challenge is when you pull home a piece of equipment that's bigger than everything else you have, you probably ought to be a little careful in terms of unloading it and stuff like that. You know, if I brought home a small tractor, it's not an issue for me to use my other tractors and help guide it off the trailer. This one, you know, I just want to do everything safely. It doesn't run, and because it has hydraulic power steering, I also can't steer it. So I'm just going to kind of ease this thing off the trailer. I'm going to let the winch kind of control how far back I can go, and I might hook another tractor up to the back of it just so that I kind of have an anchor point. For instance, if this thing did come off the trailer and it wanted to roll, this isn't flat terrain here. I got a lot of hills. This thing could roll down the hill, and I do not want that. So I'm going to do everything I can to make this a controlled process. I'll show you guys how I do it, but first I need to undo these chain binders. So when I was hauling this thing to hold it down, I used a combination of chain binders, and I also used some 2-inch straps, and I already took those straps off. I'm just going to get these chains off of here, and we'll figure out how we're going to unload this thing. All right, so the chains are off. The tractor is not attached to the trailer other than the winch. So I got this winch cable just going around the front axle, and I'm going to use that as a control mechanism just to limit how far I can go back with it. As I mentioned, since this thing won't steer, the problem I have is it's a little bit, I don't know, it's a little bit sideways on the trailer. So when I back it off, and with the current angle the wheels are at, it's going to go down these ramps, and it's going to want to kind of go to the right, which takes it downhill. That's why I especially want to control this. And the reason why it's like that, that's what we had to do to get it up on there. I had to get it up from, you know, like a position like this, pull it onto the trailer, which you guys saw earlier. So I'm just going to take my time with this because I don't really want to have any problems. So we're just going to think about this and make sure that what we're doing is just a controlled way of getting it off of here. Last thing I want is for it to just roll off, you know, to where it goes off the side of the ramp, or it wants to roll down the hill. Neither of those would be ideal situations. So the previous owners gave me a John Deere service manual for this, like a technical manual, but I also purchased the operator's manual, just so I figured I could use some basics. And since this thing has a power shift transmission, it is saying that when you're towing it or moving it manually, there's a lever that you should put in the tow position to not risk damage with the power shift. And I think that's here, just because in the picture, although the picture is hard to see, it's showing a lever basically on the left-hand side of the tractor underneath where the floorboard would be, and even though that's taken off right now, this is the only lever I see. So I'm just going to pull it forward, I guess, and hope that that is what the manual's talking about. Fortunately, we're not moving it very far, so even if that were wrong, I'm hoping that wouldn't cause us an issue in just such a short distance. All right, so let me show you what I ended up doing. I brought the John Deere G out here, and I chained up the G drawbar hitch to the drawbar hitch on the 500A. And I think what my plan is basically to release the winch a little bit at a time and have the G, you know, pull it forward, or in the case of this tractor, backward. But we'll go forwards slowly with the G. And I wish I had my wireless remote for the winch operating, but I don't, unfortunately. So that means a lot of back and forth. Basically, I'm going to let the winch out a little bit with the control, maybe a foot at a time, pull forward a foot, and just move it like that. The reason why I'm doing it this way is because, you know, if I just release the winch the way that I'm parked here, I try to get on some of the more level ground that I have, even though that's difficult. Releasing the winch isn't going to move that tractor at all. It's just going to not be securing it forward. So this is still going to be used to move it backwards, and we'll just do that a little bit of time and take it slowly. The other thing about this is I have the G positioned over to the left, and that's so that I can put a little bit of tension on it going that way. My hope is with that, that kind of reduces the amount that the tractor wants to come off to the left side of the trailer. You know, and if that doesn't work as I'm hoping, and, you know, we're kind of cutting it close coming off of here in terms of wanting to go off to the side, I'll next see if I can manipulate the steering. Maybe I'll use the Farmall loader and push on those front wheels a little bit. I don't know. Let's just give this a try, see what we need to do. All right, something else I brought out just for added safety is a big block of wood. So if I just need to put something behind that tire real quickly, that's another option for me. I'm just trying to cover all the bases here. Let's get the G started. Usually starts very quickly. Okay, so over here I've got my winch control. Just gonna let it out a little bit, and then I'm gonna pull just a little bit with the G. I know this isn't best practice, but for what I'm doing, I'm just gonna do it here from the ground. So we'll get the G going a little bit forward. That's good. It's kind of going as planned. We'll just take it slow and keep doing that. Things seem to be going okay. As I get to where I'm approaching the end of this trailer and going down the dovetail, I'm going to take even a little bit more caution. You know, if something snapped and the 500A wanted to just roll down, you know, it'd crush me from where I'm at. So might put some other safety mechanisms in place just in case. We'll see. In fact, here's what I'm thinking. I'm just gonna hook up the front axle to the trailer. Not tight or anything, but it's just kind of gonna be something that it's there just in case. If I need something to help stop that tractor, this is gonna be it. I'll just go down through a stake pocket and just do it like that. It's loose, but it's going to keep it from really taking off if the winch cable broke or something. Maybe I'll be a little more cautious and take out a little more slack. Try. I don't know if, hey, I need to loosen the winch a little. Try again. Woohoo! Nothing happened there that was unexpected. I let out enough winch cable, and that chain's what stopped it. However, I'm going to use the winch and pull it back in a little bit. That way I can take some of that, take the chain and disconnect it. I'll reattach it again. If you think some of these precautions I'm taking are a little much, I just think it's better safe than sorry. Better be safe than sorry. I'm a one-man show today, so this is about the best I can do by myself. Now that we're on that dovetail, gravity is going to help take it down. I'm going to loosen this chain again. It's just my safety chain. It's working out nicely. I don't think I need that anymore. This is going all right for a one-man show with a non-running tractor that doesn't have steering. Okay, we'll do that again. Come on. Not bad. I'm going to pull the G up a little. Figured I'd angle this back here so you can see how we're coming off. I do like having this tension on the tractor to kind of pull it to the right from the G. I think that's a good thing. But as far as coming off of there, I think I'm in a pretty good spot. Things are going well. Move the G up a little more. You can see the G's not doing any work really. It's just a control mechanism just to give me a little bit more control over the situation. I think we're looking so good, I'm going to take my safety chain off of here. I'm just feeling pretty good about the situation and the control I have over this tractor. I'll still put my block back here. So I've hit a point where I need to use the G to pull it some more. I'm feeling pretty good about things. We got the objective completed. The tractor's off the trailer. Did it in a safe and controlled manner. No near accidents or anything like that, which is great. So I'm pretty happy. Now the previous owner, his name was Chuck. Chuck's currently 84 years old. Super nice guy. Him and his grandson helped me out a lot getting this thing loaded up. Originally, the way this was set up for batteries is there was a battery box here and a battery box there, and it would use those long 12-volt batteries. And Chuck decided that he was going to make his own battery box to put on the back. Honestly, I kind of like that better just for the way that this tractor's set up. It's easier to access those batteries, and I can use a more common battery than having to get those long ones. They're kind of expensive, not that these aren't. I just got a brand new set of 36R batteries that I'm going to put in there in series, and those were $110 each before tax. So I got we'll just say $240 in batteries so far, and that's just to see if this thing's going to turn over. Like I said, it's a 24-volt system, so I can't just take a regular jump pack and jump it or jump it from my truck. I need to have the batteries in series to get that 24 volts. All right, so now that I got everything blown off here, I'm actually just going to take some WD-40 and squirt on some of the linkages for the controls up there. And I know a lot of people say, why are you using WD-40? WD stands for water displacement. I know, this is what I got out here. This is a remote property. I don't live here. It's not easy for me to get to the store. This is what I got, so that's what I'm going to use. It is helping out. I'm not upset with how all this stuff's moving. I'm actually, I'm good with it. That has a good feel to it. Hey, so it's a few days later. Obviously it looks totally different out here today. It's a little bit colder, like quite a bit. And I'm just looking at this electrical system. And I had mentioned previously that the battery box was something that the previous owner fabbed up and put back here. I tested out the voltage, so like from this positive to that negative on the other side, so I'm getting 25 volts, which is what I should get. And these cables go directly forward up here under the floorboard where it would be, and they go straight up to the solenoid on the starter. So this one here is the positive, the other one there is that negative. And when I measure at the posts on the solenoid, I am getting 25 volts there, so that's a good thing. So, you know, I mean, when a solenoid is suspected to be bad, you just kind of jump it and you bypass it. But in my case, I don't really know how exactly this 24 volt system works. This will be the first 24 volt system I've worked on, and I think once I trace everything out, I'll understand it, but at this point I don't totally understand it. I know the batteries are in series, and so the first battery, there is a ground going to the chassis, and I think that that's so that the accessories can all get 12 volts, and the 24 volts is what goes to the starter. But I just really need to look at this wiring a little closer to understand what's going on here. I'm not totally convinced that jumping this in the way that I would normally do it is the right thing for this tractor. I could be wrong on that, I don't know. But I think that's why I'm just going to swap out the solenoid. Fortunately, the solenoid was pretty cheap. I think it was like $25, so that's not bad. So I did some more checking around on these wires, and I actually got it to a point where I think it'll crank. I think I'm gonna try and crank it, just see what happens. I mean, I doubt this thing will start very easily, but who knows? I mean, it might surprise us. But I think it's ready to turn over, and I haven't even really changed any parts. I've just kind of cleaned connections and make sure everything's got a good connection. So diesel runaways kind of scare me. I'm just gonna take off the tube here for the air cleaner. So that way, if this thing were to run away and I need to shut it down, I got rags. I got these rags and a little 2x4 I'd put over there and try and kill it. Hopefully I don't have to do that. That would give that starter a break. That's me doing it. Try. Rowan's getting this fire going, so we got a place to stop and warm up when we need to. So let me show you what I took away from the service manual. So up in the front of here, this is where the fuel tank is at. It's kind of hard to see with the loader arms here, but basically underneath this area is where that fuel tank is. And at the bottom of it, I can't really get a good view from here right now, but basically the outlet on the tank is at the bottom. It then comes over to this lift pump that's right here. The lift pump, I believe, will then come over to the other side and feed the fuel filters. So you got your first fuel filter and your second one. And then once the fuel passes through there, goes back over to the other side, where it then would go to the injection pump. And that's a Rusamaster DBG series pump. And then, you know, the pump has these lines that go to all the injectors. And the injectors also have like a, can't think of the term for it right now, but basically the excess pressure goes into a return fuel line that goes back into the tank. So anyhow, the thing that I read that I didn't realize up front is that the lift pump has a little, the lift pump has a manual pump handle down here. And basically pushing that with my hand is going to add some more pressure into the fuel system to the injection pump. And I was getting some smoke before when we were cranking on it, and the ether was helping some, and it would fire a little bit off of that, but I just don't think it was getting fuel up to the injectors. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try cranking this again after pumping the lift pump manually and see if this thing will start. Now, as I've pointed out in other videos, it's not advised to crank the tractor when you're not on the seat. I'm going to do it because it's going to be easier for me to check some things while I'm cranking it. But I'm going to do some safety checks, make sure that, you know, we're in neutral, tractor's in park, that kind of thing. One of the things is that this sensor here on what looks like the clutch pedal. It's actually called the inching pedal, but it kind of serves the same purpose. I'm going to take those wires and just manually connect them together temporarily so that I can crank the tractor without pressing that pedal in. That should make the connection to make it think that the pedal's pressed in. All right, I got the throttle kind of set to the halfway position. The key is on. I'm gonna try cranking it. Smoking. Okay, gonna try it again. I'm trying to avoid ether this time. Since it's smoking, that tells me that diesel fuel is getting to the injectors. All right, I decided to get a little ether since the battery is starting to run down a little bit. Just wait. There we go. Awesome! Kind of doing some funny stuff, but I'd take a peek in the fuel tank up here. There is fuel in it. It's hard to see. I doubt the camera can see it, but it's got fuel. Okay. Although I do see fuel running down the side of the block here. It's actually quite a bit. At least I know it's getting it, I guess. Just acting like it doesn't have any power. Just died on its own. Looking underneath here, I got a little puddle. And I think it's that diesel fuel that's dripping. It's got to be coming from these injectors. I don't know if it's the rubber boots around them. I think those are known for becoming brittle. I might need to replace those. I hope it's as easy as that for replacing whatever's leaking. But I think that's the source of it. I think these two injectors, from what I can see, they're looking wet, and these front two are not. So I'm pretty sure that's where the fuel's coming from. So that was pretty cool seeing this thing come to life. You know, when you're cranking these things over, I didn't know what to expect. I always had this fear in my mind that it would run away or something, and it didn't do that. I mean, the RPMs aren't necessarily steady, but it's not like it's a runaway. Yeah, no, I'm pretty happy right now. I need to troubleshoot whatever else is going on. I'll order some of those boots and we'll see if we can get those on there, see if that fixes the injector leaks. Maybe that is a culprit and why it's not running right, since it looked like there's a pretty good amount of fuel leaking out from what I saw. All right, guys, it's yet another day. Today is significantly warmer. It's about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. I've made a few changes to the tractor since the last clips, and I'm going to show you what I did. So I was dealing with that fuel leak where I saw it coming from the injectors, and it was just leaking from the injectors, dropping down the block. And I replaced these rubber boots on all of the injectors. They were really dry rotted, and that's taken care of that fuel leak, so I don't have to worry about that any longer. Also, I went ahead and put a brand new seat on this thing. So I don't know if this one, like from a color perspective, is correct for the 500A. It definitely fits the 3020. I just don't know if the industrial versions use this color of yellow on the seat. Doesn't really matter to me. It's significantly more comfortable than the old one that was falling apart. Anyway, today I'm going to go ahead and do a cold start. This tractor hasn't run for a week, and we're just going to crank it up and see how it cranks. I'm thinking now, after running it in a little bit, and it's a significantly warmer day, I think it's going to run better. In hindsight, you know, when it was running rough last, I'm pretty sure it was just because the fuel was gelling up. I've also put fresh treated diesel in it. The diesel we were running before was whatever's been in this thing for at least 10 years or more. So I think that was probably part of the issue I had, where it just wouldn't stay running, or the RPMs were up and down. Let's see what it does today on a nice warmer day. Can't complain about that. This thing's running like a champ today. I think I'm going to put a little bit of weight behind it, and we'll see if I can get it under a load. Unfortunately, I don't have anything that's really meant implement-wise for this tractor, so I'll use what I can use, and we'll see if we can get it to work a little. So we're out here at my testing ground. Let's see what this thing can do. pulls that disc pretty effortlessly. It was kind of expected because that's a small disc for this tractor, but it's all I got. I can put under a load if I shift it way up, like maybe if it's in 5th gear, it'll then at that point start to struggle a little bit, but then I just give it more throttle and it pulls right through it. Some of you might not be familiar with the power shift transmission. I'm going to take you on here. I'll show you how it works. Come on. All right, now we're here up on the operator station. There's basically a couple things to note here. So this lever on the left side, in the middle where it's at is neutral. Forward is forward, reverse is reverse. And then on this selector here, this is the gear shift for the power shift transmission. Right now it's in park. And then basically as you shift it up, you're going to go into neutral, and then it'll go up through the gears 1 through 8. So first I'm going to put that into forward, and over here, this is all without me touching the clutch. And it's not technically a clutch, it's called an inching pedal. So we don't even have to use that at all. Here we go. So we shift it into first, shift it into second. It's really very easy to use. I'm not going to put it at the same level as like a hydrostatic transmission, but it feels like it's in the same kind of family. It's definitely a gear-driven transmission, but all of the shifting is basically automatic, similar to like a vehicle. Now if I want to come to a stop, I just take that shift lever, bring it down, put it in park. That's it. There's no using any pedals. You know, this one, I didn't even move it. I can put it in neutral. But that's really pretty much it. This thing is simple. The loader controls are here. Up, down, curl, dump. That's super easy to use. On the gauge cluster here, the coolant temperature works. It doesn't look to me like the transmission temperature gauge works. The fuel gauge does not work. But the transmission hydraulic pressure does work. So you only want to operate this tractor if it's in operating range, and that is if the needle is to the right of this line here. Got to be greater than the minimum pressure. Oh, I forgot to put it into forward over here. There we go. This thing really is a pleasure to drive. Like I'm pretty impressed by it because I've never driven a power shift transmission tractor, but this is pretty nice, and I would have to say it's probably my preference. Like if I had to choose between the shuttle shift and the power shift, I would want the power shift. The other thing about this is kind of cool. It's got a foot throttle. So that's just another way you can give it more throttle if needed, if your hands are busy with other things. All right, you guys see me doing some of my drive up the hill and some high gear videos on my shorts. I'm gonna try it on the 500A here. I've still got the disc hooked up to it, but I don't think it's gonna care. Let's go. this is 6 Deere pulling the disc up the hill. Doesn't seem to bother it. Well, that wasn't really a challenge. Kind of impressive. Wow guys, this was a fun one. Thanks for following along. I'd love to do another like this, so if I find another good opportunity like this one, I'll definitely make sure I snatch it up. If you guys haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Please like my video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think about this. Thanks for watching guys, we'll see you later.